In 1996, 3D Realms released Duke Nukem 3D, an arena FPS powered by the build engine planned to compete against the likes of Quake. And credit where it's due, it managed to hold its own, especially with folks who were unwilling or unable to upgrade their PCs for that true 3D experience. And almost with this single game alone, Duke became a household name with PC FPS enthusiasts. By now, everybody knows about Duke Nukem, whether you grew up with the character in the 90s, learned about him from the dumpster fire drama around Duke Nukem Forever, or first experienced the guy from Gianni memes and other goofy impersonations of John St. John's take on the character. Hell, even myself and friends of the show, Golden Bold and Mykonos fan, collaborated on our own shitty Duke Nukem meme that I really wish I watermarked now that it's been reposted everywhere on the internet and nobody knows who made it.
Nobody told me this had peanuts in it.
The character of Duke is understandably grouped in with these retro arena shooters, and despite that, only about a third of the dude's games have been first-person shooters. This is predominantly a platformer franchise, believe it or not, which is how the series started, not even trying the whole FPS thing until a third entry in the series, and that just happens to be the one that most folks remember. And honestly, I mean, I don't blame them. Saying that Duke 3D wasn't what launched this series into stardom would be deliberately misleading, and the reason I chose to make this video on Duke's platforming origins was specifically to build up to that Duke 3D review. Though even then, I'm only doing Duke 3D so I could review Shadow Warrior so that I could eventually review Blood because of the whole build engine Trinity thing. We'll get there in time. Just to be as transparent as possible, I was kinda dreading playing through Duke 1. It didn't seem all that appealing as an action platformer in today's standards, and thought that it would be a chore to go through for the sake of future content. I ended up having a decent time with it by the time I finished episode 1. Initial first impression issues like choppy scrolling turned out to be a non-issue for about 90% of the game. I really read this book by its cover, to put it simply. The game originally released in 1991, developed by Abridges Entertainment as Duke Nukem, later renamed and re-released as Duke Nukem after the devs learned about a Captain Planet villain of the same name. They didn't need to change it, they just wanted to cover their ass and ended up embracing the Nukem name for later games. It's your run-of-the-mill action platformer. Jump and shoot your way to the end of the map and repeat for the total 30 levels the game provides. It's very linear for the most part, occasionally broken up with obstacles like keys and upgrades to complicate your journey, which is where the game really starts to find its own identity and doesn't make it just an MS-DOS competitor to Mega Man. What do you mean there's an MS-DOS Mega Man game? Funny story about that. The game was developed by a fairly small team, and like a lot of MS games from the early 90s, a lot of corners were cut to save on production time, which led to a handful of blatantly stolen sprite graphics, a majority of them taken from Turrican, another action platformer that I admit I'd never heard of prior to this, and the team would go on to rip even more assets from Turrican for Duke 2. Meanwhile, barrels of toxic waste, fragile boxes, and grayish-blue brick tiles were lifted straight from Mega Man's DOS game. Honestly, I'd shit on them more for this, but honestly, I really don't care. This was like 20 years ago, and I mean, if we could give Doom a pass for doing the same thing, I mean, why would I shit on it here? Side-scrolling platformers were making it big over on consoles. I mean, this was the same year as Sonic the Hedgehog and, I don't know, Ninja Gaiden, but the concept of a side-scrolling platformer on MS-DOS was relatively new at the time. The brick wall that was coding smooth side-scrolling was first broken by the team that is now id Software in their attempt to recreate Super Mario Bros. 3 on the platform, a project that later became Dangerous Dave and had its code refined for their breakout hit Commander Keen, which managed to figure out smooth, perfect pixel-by-pixel side-scrolling. So naturally, Apogee reached out to id Software for some help from John Carmack to aid in their engine. Unfortunately for Duke, they had to settle on scrolling the screen by 8x8 pixel blocks, which does create a very choppy feel for the game that doesn't feel great at first, but I assure you that if you plan to give this game a try for yourself, you won't even notice this a little while in. I initially critiqued the game for lacking any momentum in Duke's movement. This dude stops on a fucking dime. But this does come with the added benefit of some very tight mid-air controls and ended up working well for the resolution this game runs at. If Duke had Mario or even Keen levels of momentum with his movement with this chunky 8x8 scrolling, I think this is just for the best. Trying to get your hands on this game though is a bit tricky given that it got delisted from Steam. If you want to buy these classic Duke games legally, you need to buy them through Zoom platform, which is how I'm going to be playing through them today. I got notified on Twitter that the old side-scrolling Duke games plus 3D Atomic Edition and Manhattan Project were up for sale on here, and I spent hours trying to figure out that this wasn't some site that's gonna fish and leak all of my personal information. But from what I could tell, the site is legit. I tried to find a source port for Duke 1 to no avail, so I'm gonna be running this through DOSBox, which honestly really wasn't a problem at all. But I swore that I did something wrong because the second I booted up the game... Do you hear that? Me neither. There was no music or sound. Turns out that this is just how it's supposed to be. Once you start the actual gameplay, a bunch of PC speaker beeps and boops make up the sound effects, and some really crunchy noise accommodates Duke's walk cycle. But even with all of that, you don't get any music, which again, was fine once I got used to it. Also, let's just talk about Duke himself really quick. That is a very pink vest, which hey, you know what? Good for him. Not everyone can rock a pink top quite like that. And honestly, I kinda wish that he kept it in later games instead of the red tank top. But I'm really missing those sunglasses. That look that Duke's given me is making me think that he needs to go to a hospital, especially with how deep red his skin is. Given the nuclear theme that this game has with its items and upgrades, I could safely diagnose Duke with radiation dermatitis. The same shit that turns your skin red when you're exposed to enough radiation. It's okay though, I think it's just a side effect of his superpowers, because he eats nuclear molecules like it's for breakfast. Do you think a man not pumping full of radiation could make a face like that?
If I wanted to hear an asshole speak, I would have farted.
Ironically, sprites with a color scheme that are much closer to the Duke that we know today are in the game's files, possibly as some kind of unused evil Duke or a Duke clone made by this game's evil villain Dr. Proton 20 years before he does this exact same thing in Duke Nukem Forever. Alright, I'm getting ahead of myself again. The little bit of story that is here is delivered to us through the instruction tab in the main menu and in banter between Duke and Proton in the beginning and end of each episode. The year is 1997. Dr. Proton and his evil tech bots have taken control of Earth's largest city. Wait, hold on, are there larger cities not on Earth? Oh wait, that's spoilers. Also, the hint book says that it's a city in America, and that's how I know that this is fiction because the largest city in the world is in China. Once a respected genius and scientist, Dr. Proton, formerly Dr. Blunderwitz, decided he could rule the Earth with a new world order. After a terrible radiation accident that altered his brain, he became the Incredible Hulk. I mean, he took to the underworld and developed an army of advanced robots to guard his evil hideout. Every military attempt to stop him has failed, until self-proclaimed hero Duke Nukem is hired by the CIA. Wait, hold on, the CIA? Oh shit, you better keep an eye on Duke after this. Make sure he doesn't mysteriously disappear. Your mission is to infiltrate Dr. Proton's siege city, his Shrapnel city, I'm guessing because that's the name of the episode, via plane onto a skyscraper and proceed into his guarded hideout. So you're the pitiful hero they sent to stop me. I, Dr. Proton, will soon rule the world. You're wrong, Proton Breath. I'll be done with you and still have enough time to watch Oprah. Alright, Duke watches Oprah. That's cool. Dude must really want that free car. It's okay though, as long as he's got the millions to cover the taxes that come along with those free cars. Yeah, free car my ass. Fuck you, Oprah. Fuck you, Josh Peck.
Shut the fuck up, Clyde!
Alright, episode 1, Shrapnel City. That's a name that Duke 3D fans are gonna recognize. I'm gonna be honest, I think that starting the player off the rooftops is an awkward place to start out. It's either that or just all the shit that's falling out of the sky that overwhelms me when I started this game. But these breakable crates that are falling from the sky are important. Blue ones are arguably the least important for the average player, only dropping various masculine items that give you point bonuses. Footballs, joysticks, radios, balloons, again all very masculine. Red boxes guarantee a food item to recover your health, like soda cans or turkey legs. And gray boxes can drop items that are required to move on, like upgrades and other inventory items, full health restores, but more often than not drop bundles of TNT that leave a crawling AoE of damage if you don't move out of the way in time. It's a gamble, but also a mandatory gamble because you need to check these gray boxes anyway, because at least one of them has an item that you need to move on. Here's the trick though, just stand right on the TNT and jump right before it explodes because you'll be fine when you land. It starts off pretty easy. You do some basic platforming, destroy iconic enemies like tiny robots, green worms, Blaster Master, that thing from Howl's Moving Castle, the ED-209s from RoboCop, all while you make your way to the first red key to open up the path to the end and destroy Proton's first generator. Nope. Okay, lesson learned. Don't jump in the generators. These things don't always mark the end of the level, but they do for now. Later on, they'll just be an obstacle that removes some other obstacles when destroyed, and man, when they are destroyed, I'd be lying if I said it wasn't satisfyingly chunky. Get used to these blue hallways because we're gonna see these between every level in the game, often accommodated with a note to give you some words of encouragement or tips for the coming level. And credit where it's due, only one of the notes throughout this game was misleading to me. These rooms are also your only chance to save during the game. You're not allowed to save mid-level, so if you die, you're back to the beginning of the level with the exact amount of health that you finished the previous level with. It's not a bad idea to bounce between two save accounts just in case you finish a level with too little health and you can't progress, though I never ended up needing to resort to this. All good superheroes know to save the progress of their mission, as the hint book says. Would you consider Duke a superhero? Never mind, don't think about it. This hint book also encourages you to activate cheats if you're having a hard time on a level. I will not be doing this, for the record. surprise, Duke. I'll be tracking your every move through my security camera system. Oh great, another game where I need to knock out cameras for my own security. Where's my goddamn lead pipe? Actually, you don't even need to worry about breaking cameras. They're entirely optional. You're not given some super secret reward, though you are given a 10,000 point bonus for knocking all of them out in the same level. That's only assuming that you're trying to go for the high score, because that's a thing. Actually, you can get a ton of 10,000 point bonuses per level by meeting certain criterias. Not losing health, destroying every Acme sign, destroying every missile in a level, which destroys blocks, so you need to destroy them anyway to get a move on, collecting the Duke letters, kind of like the DONG letters in Donkey Kong, though you only get the bonus here if you collect them in order, D-U-K-E. And lastly, destroying all of the Snake Tech bots and every Energizer Bunny. Yes, I said Energizer Bunnies. Oh wait, shit, sorry, I meant Rabbitoids, because what the fuck was I expecting? If you were given more than just point bonuses for meeting these criterias, I'd say that these are worth looking into, but I really couldn't be bothered. Occasionally, you'll need to use your blaster to dig through these destructible blocks, conveyed to the player through these floppy disks just sitting elegantly inside of them. Which, hey, you know, credit where it's due, that's decent level design. And also, thank God you have infinite ammo here, because sections like this would be a deal breaker otherwise. Later on, you'll even need to dig through these to reach empty spots above or below you to dig vertically. It's kind of fun. It's like the love child of that one room from Grenade Man stage in Mega Man 8, and those long vertical segments in Mario 2 that make you regret not playing as Toad. Oh Jesus, the silent helicopter! Oh wait, no, I accidentally pressed the S key, which turns off all the sound in the game. That's cool. Thank you, old DOS games, I love you. If you find a turkey leg out in the wild or from these red containers, you could fire at it with your blaster to cook it and give you extra health. Oh, did I mean cook it? I meant mutate it into an entire goddamn turkey dinner. This is a neat little antithesis to the soda cans, which are destroyed if you shoot them, though you can still score some bonus points if you grab the soda in the air before it explodes. Man, that sure was a sentence. If only there was some kind of pun I could make off of blending the words nuclear and cola. Nuclear molecules will restore my health. Yes, rip the electrons from my nuclei. Ionize my isotopes. Quark my half-life. Alright, I don't know how else to word this. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. This isn't a good level, and didn't leave me with a good first impression of the game, especially after how basic the first two levels of the game are. Which, you know, that part's understandable. But E1L3, or I'm assuming E1L3 because it's level 3, just feels boring, and the geometry feels like some kid's mid-Mario level creation. It's not very fun, but I can happily say that this was the low point for me in Duke 1. Yeah, everything else, all 27 remaining levels, are much better than this in my opinion. And even then, I can appreciate this level's idea of running laps around to collect the 5 keys that you need to finish the level. Well, okay, it's technically 4 keys because one of them is a circuit board used to shut down these electrical currents which impede your path. Though you still need to use it on a specific terminal, so it really is just a key with extra steps, just like another upgrade that we're gonna be finding very soon. After that mess though, we find the high jump boots, I mean jump shoes, and our first blaster upgrade, allowing for one more projectile on screen from Duke's atomic pistol. This can be collected and upgraded to allow up to 5 projectiles on screen at once, but that's as far as weapon upgrades go for this entire game. Though honestly, aside from the Robocock bots and later nuclear snake enemies, these extra projectiles barely really make a difference, but you know, it's still cool to have, especially after you get the jump shoes for the rare and elusive Duke cartwheel that has a chance to appear. God damn, he's so masculine! No platformer is complete without some kind of maze, and you know, for a maze, it's kinda shit. I thought it was pretty linear, to be honest, and there's levels later on that are way more confusing in terms of their layout. Trying to find the path to the end, it felt inappropriately handholdy. I see you made it through my maze of madness. Yeah, there's not really much madness here, boss. Please consider firing your architect. Ooh, that's a pretty looking background. It's a little awkward that the backgrounds don't scroll, but I mean, I get it, system limitations, I'm not gonna judge. It's very colorful. The least I could ask for is that it looks nice, you know? The robot hand is our next major upgrade. It's a lot like a permanent key that we keep for the rest of the episode, letting us interact with these specific terminals to shoot out a platform for us to use on the side. It's kinda like an upgrade that lets us create bridges, except you can only use it at specific points, like a castrated magnet beam from Mega Man 1, which I guess is why Duke gets castrated every time he tries to use these robot hand terminals when he hasn't found one yet. Castration is a small price to pay when it comes to real-time 1991 water reflections! Holy shit, that is cool. I'm pretty sure that what's happening here is that it's finding the 2 8x8 blocks on a grid above the reflection and drawing it again upside down at half the vertical resolution. I'm only guessing this because if you manage to get one of these reflections to the top of the screen, it actually reflects the border around the screen. So there's clearly some kind of algorithm working its magic here. Welcome to the underworld. No, I don't mean hell, not yet anyway. We're just outside Proton's underground secret city, which sure sticks out like a sore fucking thumb. Wait, is that supposed to be Shrapnel City, or is that where we started from? Whatever, it doesn't matter. I'm just here for the grapple hook. Now, manage your expectations for a second. It's not a grapple hook that you would expect in the traditional sense. If this came out today, this upgrade would probably be named something like Magnetic Gloves. It lets us crawl around the ceiling with these specific silver metal undersides on them. It's a lot like the ladders from Metroid Fusion, and that's all that they are, just a means for crossing gaps, which I guess a traditional grapple hook would also do, so maybe it's not an unfair comparison. You can also use this to grab the underside of conveyor belts when you actually see one with an exposed underside. We're not gonna see that for a little while though. There are several secret bonuses you can earn in each level. Register to get the complete list. I see, so this was the first pay-to-win game of 1991. It's not a list of secrets, despite what you might think. It just tells you about those criterias to get all those 10k bonus points. That's pretty fucking lame. I'm coming down there to crush you, Duke. Damn, Blunderfoot's really just said, don't make me come down there, young man. Oh, what the fuck? He's in a wheelchair. This isn't okay. I don't want to fight this guy. What the hell? What the fuck was that? When we last saw Duke, he had barely survived an encounter with Dr. Proton. Yo, I don't know what Duke game you're playing. He was the one getting blasted to the fucking moon. Somehow, Duke managed to penetrate Proton's captured city, beat his techbot guards, and forced Proton to flee to his moon base. Using Proton's time transport machine, Duke has decided to chase him to the moon and stop him cold. Oh shit, I gotta write that one down too. I've never heard that expression before. Might use it for, I don't know, Arkham City review, because Mr. Freeze is the only noteworthy ice-based villain that I could think of. Also, are you telling me that Duke commandeered a time machine but used it just to fly to the moon? That doesn't seem very well thought out. Mission Moonbase has better mazes than the Maze of Madness. And honestly, I think that it's the best episode in Duke 1. Despite it taking place on the moon, after a couple of levels, it rarely feels that way. There's no lower gravity, and the backdrops for the moon are only there for a couple levels. A lot of the same enemies and upgrades are here too, if not all of them. And when we do get a unique foreground element, it's just making me think of Contra. Oh, that's a lot of funny robots! How the fuck did I get out of that only losing a single bar of health? Yeah, get used to this. This is gonna be Abridges' one and only trick when it comes to sudden ambushes like this. And we'll be done way more than you will expect. The closest that a different enemy gets to ambushing it like this is in the end of episode 3. And even then, it's barely a threat because it's the Energizer Bunnies. Aha, Duke, I see you found my moon base. Yes, we established that in the prologue, Dr. Proton. Remember when you said you managed to find my secret moon base and I called you a terrorist? Did that radiation accident lobotomize you or something? Oh, I'm so sorry. You might find this next level is too windy for you. Wait, I thought we were on the moon. What are those fans blowing because it sure ain't fucking air? Or maybe it is. Maybe in this universe the moon has been terraformed. Because on second thought, I don't have a fucking oxygen suit. Maybe Duke's absorbed enough quarks to just let him breathe in space. Or not even need to breathe at all. You might find the super jump boots on the next level if you look hard enough. Yeah, don't let this hint deceive you. The jump boots are mandatory to finish this level. I wasn't a fan of this one until I realized that I needed the jump boots to finish it. But after I knew that, I didn't have too bad of a time. I got lost a lot, but it was because I thought I was going in the wrong direction this whole time because I didn't know that I needed the jump boots to jump over this pillar here. But in my time slamming my face against every inch of the level, I discovered something game-changing. The helicopters don't have a hitbox in the front of the cockpit. That's it. It's not that life-changing. It just makes them a bit easier to deal with. Yeah, I think that the helicopters are probably the most annoying enemies in the game because they constantly pursue you and teabag you. Just don't forget the molecule at the end of the level before you finish it up. It's a nice reward for a level that took me almost a half hour to beat. Even with that, it still only took me about an hour to clear this episode, so this was definitely the heftiest level here for me. Yo, another time machine? Are we still on the moon, or is this just before Sentinel Prime crashed down here on the Ark? If this was the moon, then hey, maybe there is air on here, because why is there green vegetation? That shit needs air! The grapple may lift your chance at beating the level. Wait, what the fuck does that even mean? Okay, that's pretty fucking cool. Yep, this is a good game now. Confused, Duke? Your perilously low intellect will accelerate your demise. Oh my god, they made Proton a Redditor. How many of those time machines are Tesla brand, Mr. Blunderwitz? Did you pay for them with your Dogecoin? That's what he used the time machine for. He went back to buy at the dip. Proton's Moonbase is fucking confusing, and is the only time that I had to resort to a guide to find where I needed to go, because I thought that I had soft-locked myself at one point. Okay, so the level begins with this annoying as fuck conveyor belt puzzle, which I think is the only part of the game that I think could really benefit from smooth pixel by pixel scrolling, because trying to time these jumps off of these conveyor belts is really fucking annoying. But that's not why I got lost. Once you clear that puzzle, you see some rockets, you shoot them, they destroy the platform below and above them, and then you get to this room where there's 6 more rockets, which you also destroy, and underneath all 6 of them are elevators. You could use the up key to ride these elevators all the way up to the top, and 5 of these 6 elevators lead you to a dead end. I went up 3 of these and assumed, hey, all of these lead me to a dead end, so this clearly isn't the way to go. This is probably just my fault. I should have checked all 6 of them, but I believed that the rockets were supposed to destroy the block at the top of each of these elevators to allow me to get a move on. That wasn't the case. Only the rocket second from the left actually destroyed the top to let you ride the elevator up to move on. But okay, whatever. I'm not the brightest guy out there. Let's just get a move on. God damn it! Yeah, I think that this is actively just a bad level, especially with these leaps of faith you need to take during the end. And if it wasn't for the fact that this is the last level of the episode, and I admit I was getting kind of exhausted at this point, I'd say that this was the low point of the game. Thankfully, though, that fight was arguably easier than the last one because I could just stand at the same elevation that he does when he's idling. What the fuck is difficulty pacing? Yo, Proton, you good, dude? Oh shit, I think we need to get this guy to a hospital. This isn't funny anymore. So Proton escapes back to Earth, and in a moment that's only explained to us in text, which is fine, I just think that it's worth pointing out, Proton also escapes into the future using one of his time machines. I need to find Proton's time machine or the Earth is doomed. Bro, what the fuck are you talking about? You used one to get to the moon, just use that one. Oh, look, there it is. Duke, you've tracked me to the moon and into Earth's future? Don't you ever take a break?
In the future!
No, it's a side effect of my inhuman ability to safely consume unstable isotopes. My stomach is lined with lead and my heart is full of determination.
Undertale.
Holy shit, Blaster Master is going ham! I'm warning you, Duke. It is about time I show you the awesome power of Dr. Proton! Bro, you mean your wheelchair? Or do you mean the awesome power of green? Why is the future green? Kinda reminds me of that area before the true final boss of Mega Man 2 before Wily turns into an alien. Wait, is Dr. Proton going to... Back on the topic of soft locking, I'm pretty sure that you can soft lock your here because of this bridge. Okay, maybe not soft locking because if you fuck it up, you could still take a death and restart the level. These blue bridges you see throughout the game can be destroyed by jumping on top of them. That's pretty cool. It's a neat little gimmick. But you need to cross this to get to the terminal to use the robot hand, and your only option is to jump down onto it, which more often than not will cause it to break. But if you jump across it for some reason, it doesn't break and will let you jump across it safely? I don't know, that doesn't make sense to me. What's made even worse for you is that if you do make it across, you get ambushed by a bunch of robococks, who at this point, you've developed your reflexes to step back away to position yourself to the ideal spot to blast them once they land from their little frog jump. And if you retreat too far back... Oh, fuck you. Yeah, I don't know exactly how it works. It's fucked up, but you can just take a death and restart the level. You're not penalized for taking a death. Maybe you're penalized with points, but who cares about those at this point? And knowing myself, I'm probably just overthinking it. Hey, you know, that's actually pretty cool. You see that shit? They changed the background mid-level. I wonder what kind of spaghetti code they whipped up for that kind of black magic. This is the final level of Duke 1, and I think that it is one of the more interesting ones, to say the least. You use the grapple hands to cross this bridge, take out a nuclear snake, and then take a leap of faith onto one of these small 2-block wide platforms, one of which holds a time machine that we need to use to confront Proton. Alright, so here's a tip. Find the 2 platforms that have a 2-block wide gap in between them, and then fall to the left of that left platform. I initially thought that if you missed and fell into the conveyor belt below that you needed to make a whole lap around the level just to get back here, but that's not true. You could just hold left while jumping off of this bit here. I'm just pretty fucking stupid. Alright, Proton, I swear to God, if this is just the same fight as before and you have no other tricks up your sleeve... Oh, I see! He's weaponized epilepsy! Well, I'll be damned, it actually worked. Proton actually goes down this time, exploding in his future wheelchair. But with Proton gone, does this mean that Duke is stuck in the future? Is our hero stuck in a time beyond time? Oh wait, hold on. Using Proton's time warp device, Duke returns to Earth's present. Oh, okay, never mind. Fuck that. Superheroes can't have unhappy endings. He is presented with a key to the city that he saved. Parentheses, yeah. What does that mean? Alright, Duke, I'm telling you, just remember to leave anything you found in the future back in the future so you don't create any branching timelines. Yeah, I'll be honest, this was a fun little game. I had very low expectations for this one, but once the game broke out all the upgrades, I think that this really began to feel like a unique experience, and I even hear that Duke Nukem 2 beats this game tenfold. I really did consider just going in and doing a Duke Nukem 2 video, or even just giving these two games a passing mention and skip ahead to Duke 3D. And I'm sure that some of you would have preferred it that way. I know that a lot of you have been asking me to do a video on Duke 3D, but I'm kinda glad that I gave this game a shot, both for bragging rights to say, hey, yeah, I beat Duke Nukem 1, and also for myself for that experience. It's a neat little part of Duke history that ended up being a lot more interesting of an experience than I initially expected. And I could properly bookend this one by saying, yeah, it's decent. Maybe give it a shot. That's one more Duke game to go before we jump into Duke 3D, and then, what, 3 or 4 Build Engine Trinity adjacent games before Blood? Someday, Caleb. We'll get to you in time. But thank you, ladies, gentlemen, and NBs, and I will see you next time.